So welcome to the first session. Um, I am John. I will be your e-tutor this year. And yeah, so the plan is that we go through your study units on a weekly basis, unless something drastic happens that we can't have a session. Then as we go along, please ask questions. I can see the screen, so you can put up your hand to ask a question. If you want to interrupt me, stop me. I think it is a learning session, so please stop, interrupt me, ask questions when you don't understand. Um, the WhatsApp group is there as well to ask questions. Um, Happily will answer your questions on there as well. So I think it's whenever you're stuck with a question, with something, please just ask, and we'll hopefully get you through this year so that you can get rid of a stats subject. Yeah, so let's continue with session one. What I have included here, but I will update it, is your assignment and when you need to submit it. So assignment one submission is end of May. And how it works, I think that is also important. It is an online assignment, so it is nearly the same as how your exam will be. So your assignment will be open. I think it opens up from next week to do it, but it will only, when you open it up, it will only be available for 3 hours, and then you need to complete it. So when you want to do it, you need to have time to complete it. You will have a few options, or not a few options. You have a few times that you can complete it, so it will not be just one try and it's that. You will have 2 or 3 times that you can resubmit it. I think it's very important to note that you nearly need to put time aside when you do it, because you will need to have 2 or 3 hours really continuously for you to complete it. Okay, so let's get into study unit one. So study unit one, and for the guys that have joined later on the group, and I've also shared some notes. I'll reshare those notes on the group as well. But in study unit one, we basically start off with looking at what is variables. So we will look at, firstly, at you need to define what is a variable, or need to define what is a population, what is a sample. You get some definitions around that, what can happen in the exam. And I think that is another thing that I will give you tips for whole time during the sessions as well, is they like to ask really definition questions on certain chapters. So if on chapter one or study unit one they want to ask you a definition question, it will most likely be something to in the sense of the sample, the population, and when do you use what. But they will give you nearly questions around that. I'll see if we don't have something in this session that we work through. I will give you some extra examples out of papers as well. Okay, and then I think what is important is to look at the differences in what is qualitative, what is quantitative. and the next level of, so is it discrete, is it nominal, is it ordinal? So those kind of things, they really do ask, and also in the exam, how to prepare for the exam nearly. So yes, it is still far away, but but how the exam paper is structured is nearly on each study unit there is about 2 questions. So again, it is just for yourself to nearly get that view of when you prepare for it, about 2 questions per study unit. Okay, so before I continue into some examples, did you guys, and don't worry if you didn't go through it. So again, I don't, it's not that you need to prepare beforehand for the sessions. It will help, but it's not needed. So I just want to get a feel from you guys. Have you looked at study unit 1? How was it? Does it make sense? Is there things that are difficult to get to? Is there, so that I can just, when we go through the examples, just focus on certain things as well? So anybody that want to say anything, please, the floor is quickly open for a few minutes. Yes, go.
I did take a look at the textbook, and I'm using the one that was used last year, not the current one. I think my biggest issue that I'd like to understand and get clarity on is the calculations. I think those are the ones that I find most difficult. But basically, more than anything, it's just definitions and what is said about a certain statistic, I think.
Okay, cool. Okay, now, yeah, so we will definitely get to all of that. So I think in study unit 1, it is mostly the definitions and types of. So in study unit 1, not a lot of calculations, but the calculations start in study unit 2. So definitely and a lot in study unit 3 when we look at mean, median, all those kind of things. So definitely we will, when we get to study unit 3, we'll definitely stop there for quite some time to just make 100% sure that everybody understands what is in that, and at least we've got time. And I think that is the other thing, is that today, next week, week after, so by the 14th, let's say the 14th, we would have done study unit 1, 2, 3. And that gives you another week and a half to complete the assignment as well. I think there's another hand. Was it Simon? You can go.
Justin. Yeah, I also had an opportunity to cover the material in study unit 1, and one highlight was that I saw that there was also localized content. Then there was an example about Mamelodi or something. So that was interesting for me, and I think it's like you said, it's mostly description and it's easy to digest. And it was not. I think I had a question, but I'll post it later in the study unit. And yeah, and I would love to just understand the art and the science of stats.
Okay, cool. Yeah, and the other thing is, so you would the and how to nearly prepare also for the exam. So you will see, I'll talk a lot about that, but the exam is open book, which makes it sometimes more difficult. But with all the nearly assistance, all the things that I will give you, it's nearly nice to have that at hand. So when I'll resend the first 3 chapters, the summaries of that, if you can nearly print it or have it with you on that day in October or November when you write it, you can, and you can also use it when you complete the assignments, nearly to see, because it just makes it easier. The same if you have this screen in front of you, with a summary of Unit 1. It just makes it a bit simpler when you need to complete things, because yeah, when that day comes, suddenly one forgets what is quantitative, what is qualitative. You're scrambling in your book to find it, but if you have it on a paper somewhere, by all means, it is there to use. Okay, so let's go into. Is there any other questions? Else we can go into the first one and see how we can work this out. Okay, cool. So let's start with the first question. What I also want to just, as we go along, I will highlight things so that it's just a way for you also, when you look at questions, to recognize certain words, just to make it easier when you complete the assignments and to understand things as well. Okay, so the first question I want to look at, it's about the variable customer satisfaction. So that is what we're talking about, are using a 4-point scale. And let's look at so 1 is not satisfied, 2 is slightly, 3 is satisfied, 4 is very satisfied. Okay, so if you look at that, what can you tell me about that classification nearly? Is there a ranking in it? Does it make sense from 1 to 4? What does the 1 to 4 represent? So what would you guys say? Yes, you can go. Is it Muhammad?
Yes.
Cool.
So based on the notes that you've given us in the WhatsApp group, you see under types of variables, it says qualitative, and one of the points is ordinal, and it shows it listed there in the same format it is on the PowerPoint presentation. So it's ranked in order in data.
Cool. Perfect. So it's ordinal data. So what, and just to come back to the definition, so it has order 1 to 4, and that order has meaning. So 1 is less than 2 if you look at satisfaction, 2 is less than 3. If I give a score of 1 and you give a score of 3, you're more satisfied than I am. So perfect, ordinal data. What you can also see, what they sometimes do is, so that one is the correct one. Sometimes they throw in that one that you had correct with something else. And this is more to nearly confuse you. So you will see a lot in the questions that we go through, that, and even when we get to some of the other study units, like study unit 6, 7, and 8, there's always, when you look at questions, there's always nearly 1 or 2 ways to do it. And unfortunately, they would always give, one of the answers will be for the correct way, and one of the answers will be for the incorrect way. So when we get there, I'll show you that as well. The reason why they included discrete, remember, discrete is is values like 1, 2, 3, 4. So they wanted to confuse you with discrete because they have the values 1, 2, 3, 4. But in this instance, those values is not discrete because it's not a value on a time interval. So that's why it can't be discrete in this instance. So it is only a ordinal variable. Okay, so let's go to the second one. So again, they give us a number and something next to it. So it is, in this instance, South Africa 1, USA 2, UK 3, Zimbabwe 4. So in this instance, what would you guys say is it? Is there order in it? So to say something is South Africa, 2 USA, 3 UK, so there's definitely not order in it. So we can, yes, I see a hand.
Is it nominal? I think it's nominal.
Perfect, it's nominal. Okay, spot on. So it is still category data, but there is absolutely no order in it. It is something else, and that's I think it's also important is to look at the question. It's something else if they said the ranking of, but then we will bring in that word of ranking. So the ranking of all the number of gold medals won at the Olympics, and then they say 1 SA 2 USA 3 UK, but then they need to bring in the words of ranking or order or something like that, and then it gives it away again as ordinal. But in here it is nominal, there's no order, there's no relation between the numbers and the name. So perfect. Okay, so let's go to the next one. Okay, so this you will most likely get in the exam as well, where they ask or they give you a lot of statements. So you will most likely get a question like question 1 or 2, where you need to say what type of variable it is, and then most likely a question like question 5, where they just give you a lot of statements. And with a statement like, or with a question like this, you need to work through each statement. There's unfortunately not a shortcut. You just need to go through it. So the other thing that I think it's also important is they do ask a lot of times that you need to say which one is incorrect. And again, just make 100% sure, because in the exam, when you pressure it, you look at the first one, you would say, oh, that one is correct, let's go on. But they are looking sometimes for the incorrect one. So let's look at the first one, and you guys can tell me if it is correct or not. Nominal data are also qualitative data. Correct or incorrect? Yes, Mohammed.
I'd say that's correct, so that can't be our answer.
Perfect. So let's look at the next one. Quantitative data in statistics refer to continuous data alone. True or false? Yes.
I'd say that's false because it refers to discrete, continuous, and ratio data.
Cool. So, and I think that is again important that, so if it was only, if it said quantitative data and statistics refer to continuous data, then we would have said, yes, it's correct. But because they added alone, it is incorrect because there's others as well. So that is definitely our incorrect one. But let's just go through the other ones as well, just to nearly get the understanding of it. So again, qualitative variables include that a person or object belong to a category. That's correct. So we always talk about qualitative data that is also categorical data. So it is exactly the same thing. So again, when you see in some of the questions or in the work that they can talk about it or as qualitative data or as categorical data. The method of payment is a qualitative variable. Okay, so they don't tell us the money or anything like that, the method of payment. So how can you pay? Pay per credit card, pay per cash, pay per EFT, whatever. So that method is also qualitative. The amount of money, discrete variable. Okay, so what I can ask you sometimes as well. So when you withdraw money from an ATM, it is a whole number. So it's a 10 Rand, a 20 Rand, a 30 Rand, 50 or whatever. So that tells us it is discrete. But if you pay for a liter of milk, will that be a discrete value or will that be a continuous variable? So if a question was the money you paid for a liter of milk, what do you think? What would you guys have said? So that's a bit more of a tricky one. So if yes, I see a hand. I can't see who it is, but please go ahead.
I would say that it is continuous.
Perfect. Spot on. So because what you pay, what I pay, what somebody else pay can be different. So I don't know if it is 11 Rand or 11 Rand 50 or 11 Rand 51 or whatever. So perfect. That is continuous. But something again, like we know when you withdraw money, it can only be, and even it can only be notes, so you know it is a discrete variable. Cool. Okay, let's go to the next question. Okay, so again, you would see nearly statements that they have, and again, incorrect. So which of the following statements is incorrect? Okay, so let's go through them. The number of earpieces a person has represents a discrete variable. Okay, true or false? The number of, and is it discrete or not?
I think because of it's a number, I would say discrete, it's correct.
Perfect. Patricia, yes.
I think I lost you on the previous one. I didn't understand the answer to the last point. Can you just repeat it? I got a bit confused.
Okay, the amount of money one. So let's thanks. Let's go back to that. So when you withdraw money from an ATM,
Right.
it can only be something like a 10 rand, a 20 rand. You can't withdraw money that is decimals. So it can only be a fixed value. So that is why it is discrete. If it was, I bought milk from a ShopRite or somewhere, I don't know, you might pay something different from what I'm paying, and it can be something like you paying 11 rand 55, I'm paying 11 rand 55. So that then is a continuous variable because I don't know what the amount will be. But when you withdraw from an ATM, it can only be a discrete because it can only be 10, 20. You can't withdraw 11 rand 55. Okay, so, and I think that is why it's also important with all of these questions always to look at the context of how the question is structured and what they refer to. Happy with that, Patricia?
Yes, I am. Yes, thank you so much.
Cool. Okay, so perfect. Please, when you have a question, ask. Okay, so the first one sorted out, number of. So with referencing to number of, we know it is discrete. So that is perfect. The opinion about legislation of marijuana is a qualitative variable. Okay, so what would you guys say about this one? Okay, so can it be quantity? No, so it can't be quantity, so it needs to be qualitative because it will be, the answers will be looked at from different categories. So the opinion of or about something is always a qualitative variable. Happy with that?
Yes.
Cool.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure, Dean.
Okay.
Maybe you
So
can elaborate further.
okay. So let me put it this way. So it could have been that you say, let's say, so what it could have been phrased as, okay, so what is your opinion about marijuana? Is it positive? Is it negative? Don't you know it's illegal? So all those things that is referring to your opinion is something that is normally written in text. It is, so it's not in values. Okay, so when it is not in values, it looks at it from a qualitative point of view. If it was, tell me on a scale of 1 to, or how can we put it in a quantitative? See, quantitative will be more the cost of marijuana or something like that. So here it asks you about, what do you think? What do you think about legalizing marijuana? And what you will think about it comes out in words. So, and that is why it's a qualitative. And that opinion will be grouped as a positive or negative or criticism or something like that. Does that make a bit more sense?
That helps
Okay,
a
cool.
lot, Dean. Thank you.
Okay, awesome. Okay, so So let's look at the next one. The number of cans sold, oil cans sold at the petrol station. Continuous or discrete? Okay, there's a hand. Go for it.
It is discrete
Okay, awesome. And why would you say it's discrete?
because the number of cans of oil that one would purchase from a petrol store would be either 1 or 2 or 3. It would not be 1.5 or 2.5. So it's always
Perfect.
in whole numbers. Yes.
Awesome. Brilliant description there. So it's always in full numbers. That's why it's discrete and not continuous. Perfect. So that is why that one is the incorrect one. Cool. Let's just look at the other two. Height of a customer at the boutique. Is it quantitative? And is it continuous or discrete? Okay. You can go. Who is it? There was a hand, now it's gone. Yes.
In my opinion, I would say it's continuous because height has decimals. It can have decimals.
Perfect. Awesome. So height of a customer, so it is quantitative and it would be what? And it would be continuous if I ask continuous as well. And you're right. So if I set height in meter, then it is something different, because when it's 1 meter, 2 meter, 3 meter, 4 meter, or something like that, then it is discrete again. But here I just said height of a person, and that can be 1,654, whatever. So it is continuous. Perfect. Okay, so the next one, the daily number of students going to school, discrete, yes or no?
I think it's discrete because you can have like half a student in school
Perfect.
with the other part.
Yes, perfect. So number of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can't have a half child going to school. So it is a discrete variable. Great. Okay, let's go to the last one of this study unit, and then we can do a quick checking. Again, incorrect. Okay, the average marks for stats 1610, the values could be 75, 74 point that is a continuous variable. Okay, yes.
Yes, it can be continuous because like when wait, hold on. The average marks of STA, the values could be 75 is continuous data.
I say
Yes, it can be continuous because there are decimals involved.
perfect.
They can be decimals, yeah.
Perfect. Yeah, and I think that's one always, nearly one needs to look at it. If it was only 75, 74, 74, then it is something different. Then it is discrete, but in the 0.8, 0.89 continuous variables. Perfect. Okay, the number of children. Discrete variable. So you can see the daily number of students. Where was it else? Okay, so they like to ask that thing of the number of and that is always discrete. So the number of children, number of students, even if it is the number of cars, the number of chairs, you can't have a half of something like that. So even if it is a non-living thing like a car or a chair or table, you can't have a half chair or a half table. So it's always a discrete variable. So this is now interesting because this is study unit 1, but what they've done, and that can happen in the exam as well, is that they ask something out of study unit 3. So they nearly throw in a different study unit that you need to also know of in a different study unit. So let's just look at this and see what it entails. So the median. So this is quite interesting that they ask it in here, but okay, the median is sensitive to outliers. So this is not something that you would have done for this session. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to move this over to study unit 3 so that when we get to study unit 3, we can look at it there. Because I don't want us now to go into mean, median, mode and those kind of things before we actually looked at it. So I will just, when we get to study unit 3, I will reintroduce this question again. Okay, happy with that. So I will just do that, and when we get to it next week, I will just ask this question again. Okay, so that is nearly a summary of study unit 1. So let me quickly get a check-in from you guys. Much more comfortable than when we started off a session. Is it a bit clearer? I'll share in any case the slides on the WhatsApp group as well. I'll share the link to the recording on the group as well. But just want to get nearly a check-in from you guys. Does it make sense what we've worked through this morning thus far? And is it helping? I think that's the most important. Is it helping? Okay, cool.
Can I go?
Yes.
Yeah, it is helped me actually to understand things much better. So I think this is actually a good thing that we're doing.
Okay, cool. So this is nearly how we're gonna do the rest of the year as well. Take it bit for bit, work through it, nearly interact. I think that is important. What we can also do is as you go through things, and you see something and you don't know and you want me to explain it in a session like this, by all means put it on the WhatsApp. I'll work it into the next session, or I'll say, okay, but wait, we'll get to that study unit in 2 weeks' time, when we can look at it, or we can address it in the WhatsApp. But I think it is nearly a session of let's just work through it, understand it better. Yes, Bongani.
Thank you so much. Earlier on, I heard Mohammed talking about notes that we had sent in the WhatsApp group.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
thank you. So, some of us have just joined the WhatsApp group. Would you mind resending some of the notes?
I will resend everything. Yeah, no, so don't worry. So I'll resend a lot of those things on a continuous basis. So I'll do that again. So not to worry. I will do that today.
Thank you so much. Thank you so
Cool.
much. Sure.
Okay, so let's start with study unit 2. We don't need to complete, but let's just start with it so that we can, because what is important for me in study unit 2 is, so we've now talked about different types of variables in study unit 1. When in study unit 2, we basically are going into using that variables and show it in a graphical way. So we're going to show it in ways that you can visualize it, and I think what's important for you guys, and again, why you have stats and with what subjects you have it, but a big thing nowadays is nearly the visualization of data, and there's very nice tools in the market that assist you with it, but this is nearly looking at it from more of a statistical way and say, okay, but if you have this data, what do you do? When you summarize data, this is how you do it. So we will go through a few things. So we will look at things like stem and leaf. We will look at a histogram. We will look at bar charts and pie charts, and then another thing that I'll leave over for study unit 3 is the box plots. But that again, because this is something that you will most likely get in your assignment. This was from last year's assignment, but I think we will get there next week, because that entails that also what mean, median, mode is, what the minimum and maximum is. So it is actually looking at study unit 3 and representing some of the work that we're doing in study unit 3. Okay, so let's get into a few examples. They love to ask stem and leaf. So that is one of the things that you will get in the exam. It's stem and leaf, or it is a frequency table. I will actually share with you. I'll put it on a WhatsApp group. The assignment 1 of last year. Then you can nearly look at what was asked in assignment 1 of last year to get a feel of what will be in it this year. So I'll do that over the weekend, that you can just get a feel of that. So let's get into a stem and leaf. So just as what does, yes, there's a question.
I just want to know that if you send the past paper for last year's assessment 1, will you be sending it along with the memo so that we can check our answers?
Yes, so the one that I have, it has the answer on it as well. So it will be something like this, because it was on there, and then at the bottom there will be the correct answer. It doesn't show you how to get to that answer, but it just tells you what the answer is. So again, If you don't know how to get to one of the answers in past papers, we can work through it in a session like this. I think that's also why I want to share it with you, is that if there's anything that I need to explain even before you finally do assignment 1, we can do that. Okay, so let's look at this data. So how I normally look at this is a few ways. So I would look at this even before I look at for answers. That is my minimum number is 50. My maximum number is 92. So then I know the rest of the data lies in between it. But if I look at minimum and maximum, subtract those two, I know that is the range if they might ask it. But just for myself. So now I know the data lies between 50 and 92. Yes.
Sorry, Jean. Can
No
you just
problem.
please repeat that because I think I didn't get it. Sorry.
Okay, no worries, no worry. So when I look at the data, I always look at it, and when I look for one or two things in it. So I know that number is 50, so that is my smallest number. That number is 92, so that's my biggest number. So if I want to get what is the difference between those two numbers, that is the range. So I know that the data lies between 50 and 92. So the range of that is 92 minus 50 is 42. Okay, so that nearly, just for myself to nearly get to what is in the data. Then what I normally do afterwards is to say, okay, they don't tell me how many data points there is. So let me go and count. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so 7 data points. So let's just then look at the questions. They want us to look at the incorrect one. So the first question, the sample size is 7. Okay, cool. I have done that already. So that is correct, but I need to look for the incorrect one. Approximately most of the candidates had distinctions. Okay, so what I don't like about a question like this is what is defined as a distinction. I have it in my mind that it is more than 75, but still, so it can be confusing if I don't tell you what is a distinction. So if it is more than 75, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. So then 4 out of 7 is most. If a distinction was above 80, it would have been 3, which again then is not the most. So I don't like it when they give words and don't tell us what is a distinction. But for now, let's go with 75. Then 4 out of the 7 was a distinction, so that is the most. Simon, you wanted to say something?
No, sorry, I left my mic on. Sorry for that.
Oh, okay, cool. No worries. Okay, so then, we'll do this in study unit 3 as well. The median is the number in the middle. So median is number in the middle. So if I have 7 numbers, the one in the middle is that one. Yes, Patricia.
I'm sorry. For that number 2, you just assumed it's 75.
Yes, and that's why I don't like a question like this. And what I've seen, so this is out of past work. So what I've seen lately is that the questions are not written in these words that you need to nearly guess. So the the lecturer that you guys have this year, he's been working quite hard on questions to the last 2 years to make it that you know exactly what you need to look for. So in your assignments and in your exam, it would actually say approximately most of us, the candidates had more than 75 or something like that. So this is out of previous work, but some of the things have been reworked so that is not that you don't need to guess what they actually mean. So in your assignments and papers, there will not be something like this. There is another hand.
Yes, I'd like to also ask, how do we know that the median is number 6?
Okay, cool. So there's two ways that we can work out the median. So how I look at it is to say, so we know we've got the sample is 7. So I look for it where's the middle value. So if I've got 7 on the one side of the 6, there is 3 numbers. On the other side of the 6, there is 3 numbers. So then I know that is in the middle. But there is also a formula to work it out. So the formula to work out the median is, and I think I do that in study unit 3 in the summary that I will send you guys. I'll add this. So the formula that we use is n plus 1 divided by 2. So n we know is 7. So 7 plus 1 is going to be 8. 8 divided by 2 is going to be 4. So that is number 4. So the fourth number in this will be your median, which is 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, does that help a bit?
I think for now it does. And also, I'd like to know, for n being number 7, are we always going to use the sample size which is given, or what? How do you get the n?
Yes. So it can be two things. You need to count the numbers, or they can tell you. Sometimes, let's quickly. So in here they said 40 workers, so then you know that is n. In a question like this, they didn't, so then you need to go and count it. So it just depends what is in the given question, but most likely they don't give you n, and you need to count the numbers of how many it is.
So when n is not given, we're going to figure out for ourselves, and that will be in study unit 3, I'm assuming.
Yes.
Thank you, Jean.
Cool. Okay, so we've got another 5 minutes, so let's quickly, we've done the median. It is 76, so let's mark that off. The fifth exam score is 1. Let's get another color in here. The fifth, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so they say the fifth score is 1. What is the fifth score?
81.
Awesome. Okay, 81. Very, very easy again in the exam. You see one, you say, it is one because it's there, but it's actually 81. Okay, so that is the incorrect one. Then just let's look at 5. So if we ordered the data, it would have been 50, 74, 74, 76, 81, 89, 92. So that is correct. So the incorrect one is that that one, which is 81 and not 1. Okay, so let's do one more and then we can continue next week with study unit 2 and 3. So what we also sometimes do is they say, here's the data. You need to put it into a stem and leaf. So when they give you the data like this, the first thing that you need to look at is this data ordered. So is there order in this data? And you will see there is not. So you first need to make sure that this data is ordered, else you might pick the wrong one. Okay, so very important, you need to order the data first. So let's write it down. So 11 is the first one, 13, 17. Okay, so even before we go further, I like to put that into a stem and leaf, just those 3 for now. So it will be 1, then it is to tell me it's 11, to tell me it's 13, to tell me it's 17. So let's look at these and let's see which ones it can be. So the next one would be a 2 and a 3. So 1, 2, 3. So that is right. 1, 2, or 1, 3, 7. That's correct. So it might still be 1. 1, 3, 2. Okay, so that order is wrong. So I already eliminate option 2. Option 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 3, 7. So that might be it. 1, 3, 2, 1, 3, 7. Okay, that can't be 1, 3, 2. It always needs to be in order. Okay, here they actually just did it, the raw data. So here the raw data, again, it's not written in a stem and leaf. So that's also wrong. So if you actually needed to guess, you can guess between two options and not guess over 5 options. But let's quickly check the rest. So 22, 24, and then there's 2 28, 24, 28, 28. So let's write that into the stem and leaf. 2, 4, 8, 8. So let's look at the second options. Okay, so how did they do it? So they said probably there's the 8, there's the 4, there's the 8, there's the 2. Okay, but remember it needs to have order. So that can't be. So we actually only have option 3. So let's look at it. 2, 4, 8, 8. Awesome. There's your order. And let's look at the last 2 is 52 and 53. So that is 2 and 3. Does that also correspond? Yes. Okay, so we have option 3 as the correct one. Okay, so it might look simple to do the question, but as you will see in a lot of the stats questions, they want to confuse you a bit as well. So there will be funny things in it to confuse you. And that's why I normally like to go through the answers first so that I can eliminate some of the options, so that at least when you pressed for time or something like that, you can look at it and make a better guess if you don't have time to work it out. Okay, so that has been our first session for this. I will add the recording and everything on on our WhatsApp group. I'll add the link to it. You will see when you open that link, I think the last 2 or 3 years sessions is on there as well. So if you want to go back to that as well, it is there. So just a quick check-in before we go on weekend. Did the session help? Is this the way it's structured? Is that good for you? And then we'll just continue with this. I'll check just to balance things out. I will not this week, let the week just with all the public holidays finish, and then from somewhere in the middle of May, I will see if we can do for the guys that aren't always available on Saturdays, we'll do a late evening check-in as well, but we'll manage that and see how we can do that. Okay, anything else from you guys today?
I think it's a good idea. I enjoyed the session. Just that when you go through the work, that your understanding is basically what we're actually trying to get out of it.
Yes, cool. Yeah, no, I think that's why nearly I will every time give you the hints and the things also to look how to prepare for the exam, because that is we know the exam is pressured, but the time is very limited. So nearly the time that you will get on your assignments that you need to complete, that will be your whole time for the exam. And I think that is important when you also do the assignments, that you nearly time yourself how you go through it and see, okay, there's certain questions that for the assignment, okay, I'm taking longer now, which is fine. But remember, if you're in the exam situation, that you can't take 10 minutes on a question. And I think those things, but there's a lot of practice for that. So I think there's five assignments. Each assignment you can do 2 or 3 times. There will be mock exams that is timed as well. I think what is important nearly is what the lecturer looks at is when you do the assignments is he's looking at how he can look at all the stats behind it. So don't just go through assignment and pick A, B, C or whatever, and then it looks like you could have done the assignment in 10 or 20 minutes, because that will then tell him that, oh, it might have been too easy, or so take the time that you need so that when they set up the exam, they also get the indication of it was very difficult to complete the assignment, so we need to mix and match the exam questions. So they do use the time it takes you to complete into consideration when they set up the exam. Okay, cool, everyone. I see there's one thing. Okay, cool. Yeah, Patricia, that is, I love this. So yes, we're going to be patient. We're going to be, it is a year session, so we will make sure that you don't need to do it again next year. It is one of those subjects that it is difficult, but we will get through it. Okay, awesome guys. Have a great weekend, and I'll post a lot of the things on the WhatsApp group or during the day, depending how quickly I can download it and put it on my tube or on YouTube and on my channel and things like that. Okay, see you again next week. Cheers,
All right,
everyone.
thanks. Bye.
Thank you.
All right,
Bye.
thanks. Bye.
Thanks.
Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.
Cheers.